Annalisa 6 here. Do I restart? Do I start a new? I'm not even going to start a new video. I'm just going to keep going. I can't tell you how many times you get on YouTube and you're like, I'm going to do my thing and say, hi, here I am. And you start out fumbling that way. I'm not even going to bother starting a new one. Annalisa 6 here with the February 2023 horoscope breakdown for the sign of Taurus, Taurus sun, and Taurus rising. I am so tired right now. And if I had enough time to record these before February 1st, I would put this off another day, but I don't and waited until the last minute. So you're getting this version of me. I apologize. Let's just jump right in, Taurus. Let's talk about February and how it's going to go for you. So hopefully you watched the February 2023 synopsis because that breaks down the astrology much more briefly, but this is what is personal to you. So we start out the month with Mercury in Capricorn, and it's at 17 degrees Capricorn when we're starting out the month. And this is a great time for you to really be making moves when it comes to your career. So I'm sure that you've been feeling some setbacks in this area with Mercury retrograde over December and the first half of January. If you follow astrology at all, you've probably heard lots of us say that January was not the month to be moving forward on work projects, any resolutions. But now that we're in February, we are not experiencing any retrogrades, and Mercury is now direct in Capricorn, and it's not in its shadow period anymore. And so this is a perfect time for you to actually start moving forward with whatever plans that you had, especially when it comes to making moves in your career. So you're definitely supported there. After that time period that Mercury is in Capricorn, Mercury is going to be in Capricorn and kind of moving through that area of the Taurus chart for the first week and a half of February. And then by the 11th, it's going to move into Aquarius. And so where this is influencing you is actually going to kind of still be somewhat work related. You've got a bump when it comes to networking. This is a really good time to network when it comes to the work stuff that you're doing. That might not be relevant for you, but if networking or making friends or even just socializing with the people that you're already friends with is something that you start to feel more inclined to want to do, February, that energy is definitely elevated. Getting involved in your community is also really positive for you at this time. Doing any kind of social justice work or activism is definitely supported for you in the month of February. Venus is going to be in Pisces until February 20th, when she'll make her way into Aries. And so while we have Venus in Pisces, and since that's going to be happening for the first half of the month, that's really going to also be enhancing your desire for the first part of the month to socialize and to connect with friends. And you might be also craving deeper connection for where this is hitting in the chart. And by deeper connection, I mean spiritual connection or people that you can have deeper conversations with. If you're not somebody that talks a lot about spirituality with your friends, you might be feeling inclined to wish you had people to do that with. And so this might be a really positive opportunity for you to start branching out of your social circles and meeting more people that fit in with that. Once Venus kind of makes her way through Pisces and then into Aries, Venus is going to enter Aries on the 20th. You're going to start moving more into kind of the private area of your life that has to do with your subconscious and where you're kind of starting to work through your own ideas about how you're processing things in the emotional and more spiritual area of your life. This is a great time to take up dream journaling or a meditation practice. Similar to kind of the Aries horoscope, you're also working through this period of self-reflection and have more of this ability to see outside of the mundane. And Taurus has a really hard time with that. Taurus does tend to want to see things in a more simplified, straightforward, and grounded way. And Pisces and Aries energy is pretty straightforward, not necessarily grounded, but more linear. Pisces is not. Pisces is very out there and vast and open and more into the imagination and what seems impossible. And sometimes Taurus can kind of get it in its own way by being too reality focused, too like, well, if I can't see it and if I don't see the hard facts of how it works, then it just can't be possible. And Pisces is a lot more about the impossible becoming possible. And Aries is a little bit more open to that as well. And so Venus being the lesser benefic, which represents, you know, good fortune, this is an area where you might be feeling like you're able to see outside of what you've been kind of stuck in, if that makes sense. And if you're not somebody that's open to that, this is a time where you might be tested to start becoming more flexible and open to that in yourself, at least for February. By March and April, you might start feeling like some of that energy is moving a little bit more, but this is a pretty introspective time for the Taurus person and finding some ways to break out of the box. Taurus really likes comfort zones, and so you might be challenged a lot in breaking out of comfort zones in the month of February. That's definitely a theme coming up for you. It's been a theme for Taurus for quite a while though. So if you feel like you're like, when do I finally get to go back to being comfortable? I'm sorry, not for a while. Okay. It's just, you have Uranus in your sign. It's just, you're going to be going through it for a little while. And by a little while, I mean a few more years. So Mars has been in Gemini for quite a while now. And so there's not really too much new going on for you with where Mars is. But what is new is that Mars isn't retrograde. So Mars was retrograde from the end of February until, sorry, the end of October until the first couple weeks of January. And now Mars is finally direct in Gemini and just making its way through those last, I mean, middle and last degrees of Gemini. So we're going to have Mars at 10 degrees Gemini going all the way to 18 degrees of Gemini for the whole month of February. And so if you want to look in your personal chart and see where you have 10 and 18, 10 through 18 degrees of Gemini in your personal chart, that's where Mars is hitting for you on an individual level. From a horoscope perspective, this has a lot to do with your finances. And Mars passing through a financial area of a chart is not the greatest. Money is hard to kind of hold down and keep a grasp on. And that can either be because we ourselves are not saving or not making responsible choices with money, or it could have to do with life circumstances that have required us to have to spend money on things that we didn't necessarily foresee or plan for. Taurus, however, is really good at saving and planning for that stuff usually. And so if you have savings and a nest egg, that, you know, it still sucks to have to dip into that and maybe spread resources where you weren't planning. That's still possible for the month of February. And so it's still good for you to kind of be mindful and aware of where your money is going and try to create kind of a, you know, it's hard when you have so much ungrounded energy for a month to say, create a grounded plan for yourself. The beginning of the month with Mercury and Capricorn, you might actually be able to do that, but there's still probably some unforeseen things that come up, or even maybe some things you just want to spend money on that bring you joy. And I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying, make sure that if you're doing that, you're also making sure that you have extra if something were to happen or come up. Also, it's really positive for you to start looking at your own perspective around self-worth. Are you doing things that give you a sense of accomplishment? What is your relationship to your self-worth and how you value yourself? And Mars coming in might bring up some of that stuff and make you feel anxious about it, make you feel like you're analyzing it in an intense way. And you want to be really mindful to not be overly critical of yourself, but also honest with yourself about maybe areas for improvement or learning. You know, if there's areas around your idea of self-worth and stability that you could be expanding upon and growing from, this is a good time for you to think about that. Jupiter is still in Aries and it's going to be making its way through Aries from 6 degrees to 11 degrees for the month of February. And where that is affecting you, Taurus, in the horoscope is that same area where the imagination and the imaginal and the subconscious lives. So again, a really good opportunity for you to expand your personal beliefs around your identity and the way that you process your internal world. And you're probably going to have a lot of dreams during this time with a lot of symbols and meanings that either, if you're somebody that does dream work already, might be super obvious to you and might kind of feel like, yes, I know what this is, and I'm heeding the call and the message. If you're somebody where dream work and dream journaling is new for you, this is a really good opportunity for you to start analyzing your dreams and looking at what they mean and seeing if there's symbols and things that you could work on in yourself and expand upon for that personal growth. I'm not going to get into the outer planets on this one, but feel free to watch the February 2023 synopsis, the first video of this series that is general, not for each sign, if you want to break down on that. The moons we're going to talk about, so the full and new moons for the month. So we have a full moon that happens on February 5th at 16 degrees of Leo. And where that is influencing the Taurus horoscope chart has everything to do with our self-expression and our creativity. And so this is also great time for you to work, like Taurus people. Every Taurus person that I know that I have in my life is incredibly artistic and either is a professional artist in some way, whether it's paintings or jewelry or music, or writing even, or just likes doing it for joy or fun. It's just even fashion, you know, that kind of stuff. Taurus is just it's ruled by Venus. It's such a Venusian sign. And there is a lot about the astrology of February with Venus in Pisces and, you know, we're entering Pisces season, and then having even like where Jupiter's hitting in the horoscope chart, having this full moon that's hitting in Leo is really positive for you when it comes to your self-expression, your creativity. So this also might be a time where that personal work and that internal journey that you're on really feeds into gaining some new inspiration when it comes to whatever the art or creative project is that you're doing. So really good time to lean into that. And even kind of focusing on manifesting more joy and pleasure within your creativity in that way. Our new moon we have right after the sun enters Pisces. And so the sun enters Pisces on the 19th, and then we have a new moon in Pisces at 1 degree of Pisces. And so again, this is going to be influencing the area where you find connection with other people, the way that you connect with your community. And it's a really good time for setting intentions on calling in people that share similar spiritual energy with yourself. So, I mean, I'm going to speak on this kind of in the way that it affects me, knowing that it's a little bit different for everybody, but it's just the way that I understand it because of my own projection, my own filter. But it's kind of like when you meet somebody and it's almost like that love at first sight feeling, not necessarily in a romantic way, but when you have somebody that you meet and you just know you're meant to be friends. My mom calls it being a part of, like, she can tell when somebody's a part of her soul group. That's what she calls it. And I don't necessarily call it that, but I like that in the sense that I understand it where you can just feel when there's somebody that's kind of meant to be in your life. That feeling is something that you might be longing for in February, and that by that new moon that's happening on February 20th, you might be wanting to set intentions towards calling people in that give you that feeling. So people that are, you know, more on the vibrational frequency that you're on in your life right now, people that you feel that soul connection with. It's an unspoken thing. It's like you're just around somebody and you feel that. I did a video recently about how to find your soulmate using astrology. And I have a thing in there talking about what I actually think of soulmates and twin flames and all that kind of stuff, and how to look at, you know, compatibility in a birth chart. And what I found is that through all of the different charts I've looked at and relationship readings I've done, is that when we share certain harmonies and synastries with people astrologically, they tend to feel more like our soul people, right? So if you watch that video, it kind of breaks that stuff down in a way that is hopefully understandable. And I think will resonate for maybe where the Taurus sun rising person is at in life right now, in terms of wanting to feel like they have more of that community that's in alignment with, you know, where you're at in whatever way. So that's a big theme for you for the end of February, is kind of longing for having those people around you that you just feel like are your people, that just get you on, like, you don't have to say anything, it's just there, you know. There's definitely some other transits that are happening for the month that I covered in the February 2023. So feel free to hop over there if you want a little bit more information, but I am going to leave you there. So have a great February. Enjoy a retrograde free month and lean into your creativity. This is a great time for it.